The woman who attended her own funeral. The first thing Sarah saw when she entered the church was her own photograph on the wall. It was a large framed portrait of her, dressed in white, smiling beneath the words, "In loving memory of Sarah Bennett." Sarah stopped breathing. People were already seated inside. Her husband, Daniel, stood beside the coffin at the front. And inside that coffin was a woman wearing Sarah's wedding ring. Nobody noticed Sarah at the entrance. Nobody knew she was alive. 6 hours earlier, Sarah had been driving home from work when a truck suddenly crossed into her lane. She remembered the sound of the horn. She remembered the violent turn of the steering wheel. Then everything went black. When Sarah opened her eyes, she was lying beside the road. Her car was badly damaged, but somehow she was alive. A passerby had found her and called an ambulance. Sarah checked her phone. There were 37 missed calls from Daniel. She called him immediately. He did not answer. She tried again. Nothing. Then she noticed something strange. Her phone showed the date as Friday. She had no idea how long she had been unconscious. The ambulance took her to a nearby hospital. The doctor examined her and told her she had suffered a concussion but had no major injuries. Sarah immediately asked for her husband. "I need to call Daniel." The doctor looked confused. "Your husband?" "Yes, Daniel Bennett." The doctor handed her the phone. Sarah called again. This time, Daniel answered. But he did not sound relieved. He sounded terrified. "Who is this?" Sarah frowned. "Daniel, it is me." A long silence followed. Then the line went dead. Sarah stared at the phone. She called again. He had switched it off. She didn't understand. Why would her husband hang up after hearing her voice? A nurse entered the room carrying a cup of water. Sarah asked her to help arrange transportation home. The nurse looked at the hospital record. "Where do you live?" "Greenwood." The expression changed. "Are you Sarah Bennett?" "Yes." The nurse looked at her again. Then she quietly left the room. 5 minutes later, 2 police officers entered. Sarah immediately became nervous. "Is something wrong?" One of the officers sat beside her. "Madam, we need to ask you some questions." "About what?" "Your identity." Sarah laughed nervously. "My identity?" The officer opened a file. "Your name is Sarah Bennett." "Yes." "Your husband is Daniel Bennett." "Yes." "Do you have children?" "No." The officer exchanged a glance with his colleague. Then he said, "Your husband reported you missing yesterday." Sarah's face disappeared. "What?" "He reported that you left home on Thursday morning and never returned." Sarah stared at him. "That is impossible. I was driving home from work yesterday." The officer looked at the date. "Madam, today is Saturday." Sarah's heart stopped. Saturday? She had lost more than a day. The officer continued. "Your husband also reported finding your car abandoned near the highway." Sarah remembered the accident. "But I survived." "Yes." The officer looked uncomfortable. "That is why this situation is strange." Sarah demanded to go home. The police agreed to take her. As they drove into Greenwood Estate, Sarah noticed something immediately. There were cars everywhere. People were dressed in black. A large white tent had been erected outside her house. Sarah stared through the window. "What is happening?" Nobody answered. Then she saw the banner. Funeral service for Sarah Bennett. She screamed, "Stop the car!" The police officer stopped. Sarah jumped out. She ran toward the crowd. People turned. Someone dropped a cup. Another person screamed. A woman fainted. Sarah pushed through everyone until she reached the church entrance. And there it was, her photograph, her coffin, her husband standing beside it. Daniel looked up. The moment he saw her, his face became completely pale. Sarah walked toward him. Daniel? He stepped backward. She reached for his hand. He pulled away. You are not Sarah. Sarah stared at him. What? Daniel pointed toward the coffin. That is my wife.